Go there. Yes, and thank you and welcome everybody. We're back. Welcome back to Knowledge is Power. I'm your host Tony Renfro, and I've got our special guest today. Yes, um, um, uh, and we're just going to just enjoy this 30, 40 minutes of conversation with my special guest. And but I must do this right now. I must address. I have to. I really want to make uh, a 3 minute commentary right now. It's something that's bothered me, and I need to address it. You know, the people of Beaumont is has is fear. They're frightened. They're frightened right now. They don't know if they're going to they catch the coronavirus. They don't know if they're going to go to work anywhere. They don't know if they're going to have another job, have a job. The people are frightened and they have fear about what's going on in this world today. But with added troubles, the troubles adds up because I'm addressing this to the people of Beaumont, Texas. We have a problem, Beaumont. Not only are you frightened and fear of the coronavirus or how are you going to make ends meet, but we got a fear that in our house, when it rains, it floods. We don't know if it's going to flood our homes, lose all the valuables that we have. Our cars are flooding. Every time it rains, it floods. People are just not getting their homes from the last flood. We got a problem on my Texas. And I'm going to place this blame right now, to the city of Beaumont city manager and the Do Nothing City Council. But before I say that, let me just address it. Let me say this. Not everybody's guilty here, but I'm going to say that I do know for a fact that I put the blame on our city manager and the mayor. They go hand in hand. You see, I remember several months ago, maybe a few months ago, Mr. City Manager, Kyle Hayes, told the city council not to pay attention to any negative posts on social media about the water department because the changes he's made has built up a water fund and made it a healthy fund. Now, yes, we do have a healthy fund. Great. But what about the flooding the streets? What about people cannot flush their toilet when it rains? Drinking water is brown. Service interruptions go for days. The TCEQ violation for jeopardizing public health and safety is off the chain. Sewer flooding on the streets and customers' complaints taking weeks and months to be addressed. And I can go on and on and on again. The people are tired and they are not stupid, Mr. City Manager. We want something done. People are realizing how destructive this management has been and how this city council had provided protection for its incompetent politicians and its incompetent management. You allowed the Beaumont people, the people of Beaumont, the citizens of Beaumont, the taxpayer of Beaumont to suffer under its leadership, under your leadership. So if the water fund is so healthy at the expense of the public health and safety and of those who contribute to its healthiness, why doesn't the city of Beaumont eliminate the water bills for the last 2 months instead of red tagging homes? Folks, I'm going to place this number right here on the screen. This is our city manager office number. Call that number. Flood his office with calls. Let him know how you feel about being stressed and having anxiety in your own home because you don't know if you're going to lose all your valuables if it rains again. A 10-minute rain will flood the city. It's not just on the south side, south end, South Park, north end, North Park, West Park, whatever. It's all over town. It's on Delaware. It's on Gladys. It's on Thielen. It's on Lucas. People cannot flush their toilet when the clouds when it rains. It's got to stop. People, call that number right now. It's on the screen. Call it right now. Call it. I'm sorry, not right now, but call it tomorrow. Flood his office all week with phone calls because you're scared. You're upset. You're nervous because you're concerned about your valuables, your home, things that you work for all your life. And we've got an incompetent city councilman. Yes, sir, I said it. The same city manager. I said it. The same city manager that wanted to buy the old AT&T building with our taxpayer money. The one that wanted to move the city hall to the Crockett complex, our taxpayer. The one, Mr. City Manager, that wanted to make a circle drive at the intersection of 11th and College and bring us back 50 years of transportation. People, we need a change. We've got to call this number. We got to make them accountable. If you don't make them accountable, I'm going to make them accountable. And I'm going to stand up to them. Now, the city council, can't blame them all, but they're scared to stand up to this, Mr. City Manager. But I'm standing up to you, Mr. City Manager. I know you're going to get this video. You're going to see this podcast. Someone's going to share it to you. And I'm talking directly to you. We are going to make you accountable for what you've done to our city water department. Now, I suggest that you do something. Maybe bring those that you busted up at the city water department 5-6 years ago and brought in your cronies in that had no experience to operate and manage the city water department. I would suggest you just pick up the phone and call for a few of those experienced water department employees that once worked there, that kept our city safe, and put them on the consulting terms to get our city back in order. You hear me, Ms. Mayor? I'm talking to you and Mr. City Manager. The citizen of Beaumont, Texas, we are tired of it. And we want service. We're tired of it. Now, wow, with that said, let me bring on my guest. I'm sorry, Miss Linda. Tonight we have Miss Linda Clark, a psychotherapist and mental health professional. Wow, I got so upset. Maybe you need to counsel me after this show. But let me bring you on here. Let's see here. Can I get you here? Yes. No, I did. Okay, add to the show. There we go. Let's change our view. Hello, Mrs. Clark.
Hello, how are you, Mr. Retro?
I'm great. Listen, let me just say this. I'm gonna let you do your own introduction, but I want the people to know that why I asked you to come on this podcast, because we are stressing. People are stressing. We have family of domestic violence in the home, child abuse in the home. We have some mental things that are going on while we're in this coronavirus pandemic. But I want people to understand that some people, not all, don't like to talk about mind problems and mental illness. But the head can get sick, just like the stomach and back. The brain is the most precious organ, because when it stops, the body stops. Let me repeat that, because I want to repeat that because I want to make sure my audience know what we're talking about. Understand, the brain is the most precious organ, because when it stops, the body stops. That's why it's important to laugh, have a good time, laugh, and love as well. Just love and live. Welcome, Ms. Clark. Give us an introduction. Here you go. I love you. How you been? Let me say this. Mrs. Clark and I, we grew up together. We grew up in the south end of town. South end, the real south end. Off of Irving and Doucette and Brooklyn.
Okay.
We
slow down.
Hooray, we there. We back. We're
Slow
there.
down.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Mr.
I am Linda Clark. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and that little S, if you see it next to my LCSW, stands for supervisor, which means I am licensed to diagnose and treat mental disorders and to have a private practice, which I do. My private practice is located at 8109 Gladys Avenue in Beaumont. And right now I'm practicing from home because of COVID-19. And it is stressful time for us as a community, as a state, as a nation, a country. The coronavirus, COVID-19, has caused all of us a great deal of stress and worry. And people are dying. And we're worried about so many things right now. I listened at you earlier talk about the sewage problem, the drainage problem that Beaumont has, and how fast this rain came down and people began to worry. Basically, what we're experiencing with all of this is trauma. Trauma takes over, and just like the people whose houses flooded for Harvey, then flooded for Imelda, and then we had a hard rain a couple of days ago, it's just re traumatizing for a lot of us. And when you add the pandemic, it exacerbates that trauma that we already feel.
We all have, we all are stressful. And there's some of us that has jobs. And I'm sorry, I didn't put myself on the back on the screen again.
Yes,
Okay,
there you are.
back. Okay, now some of us has job, has income coming in, but um, we have quite a few that do not have that resource. So tell me, what are the signs a person is having a problem and need help?
Hmm. It's not quite that simple. Let's talk about the pandemic for just a moment.
Okay, go ahead. Great.
Okay, one of the things that is happening to us right now as a collective, when we first, I think when we got told to stay home, the city of Beaumont, we might have been at spring break time. Our BISDs, our Lamar universities. So for a moment there, it felt like spring break. We were off. People decided, well, I'm off. Okay, I might not be able to travel. I'll clean out a closet. I'll clean out that old shed I've been meaning to clean out. I'll redecorate. And for a moment, it felt like a lot of fun. And then as time went by, it became clear to us that this is real. This is very real. We had loved ones who were passing away. We began to hear over and over again across the country people passing away. And that became real for us too. Then this term that we had never heard of before, social distancing, came into play. We can't be with one another. We can only wear a mask. What is this happening to us? So all of these things are traumatizing and becoming so real to us that we can't begin to take it all in. We have a medical problem that has turned into an economic problem. And this is what you're referring to now when you talk about people are really losing income. I can't go to work. Every job is not paying me to stay home. Uh, how am I supposed to put food on the table? The $1,200 stimulus made it to some and not to others. And $1,200 for a lot of people is not enough. What you are really seeing and what everybody is beginning to experience is that this is not fun anymore. It's not spring break. It's not a vacation. This is real. And what we're finding is irritability. Let's talk about mental health from a different standpoint. You asked me what were some of the signs. First of all, we have to understand right now that people may already have a mental health problem, an emotional problem. So if I'm stuck at home and I'm already prone to depression, I'm already prone to anxiety, I've already been diagnosed with schizophrenia, then staying at home will exacerbate those things. People are already having financial problems. We used to hear the old saying, where there's no money, there's no love. When people can't pay their bills, irritability takes place. So you want to know? People start deciding when this first happened, well, it's vacation. You're starting to hear now that people who have drinking problems are drinking more than ever. It was amazing to me what was considered an essential business. Did we notice that the liquor stores remained open?
Yes, I sure do.
Were they an essential business?
I don't think so.
We've turned parents into teachers. And don't get me wrong, parents should indeed know how to have opportunities and times where they sit down and teach their kids things, teach help with homework. But for a lot of parents, I'm usually at work. I am not a teacher. So our homes have become schools. Our homes, for some of us, have become jobs. Our homes have become recreational facilities.
Right.
Our home is a little bit of everything, and we're not able to get out and do. So it does cause a lot of problems. But you need to understand, and people need to break this down in terms of we've got a medical problem that has caused an economic problem that has bumped into a babysitting problem, an academic problem. It has created a snowball effect for people. And it's also caused us a great deal of grief because people that we know and love have passed away. People that we know and love are getting the virus. And then we wonder and worry about ourselves. So, does this heighten our anxiety? Yes, it does. Do I wonder if I go out with a mask, will I catch a virus? Yes, I do. People all over are worried and wondering. And then we have this confluence of some people are saying, I want to get back to work. Some people are saying, well, I don't need to wear a mask. It's my right not to wear a mask. We don't get a lot of good information. And in some situations, we don't know what to do.
I, I've I have that thought as well. What to do? What should we do? I mean, and sometimes we just don't have that help. We don't have that help. We need to seek that help. I remember years ago that I had some symptoms of it, and it got to a point where I just wanted to just give up because I didn't like myself, and I just depressed, and I didn't want to leave the room. Um, and if you don't seek help, it's not good. It's not good for you. So what do you when let's say this? What do we do when we know a relative or a friend that needs help and they don't feel like they do?
That's a really big question. If we keep it in terms of the pandemic and being forced to stay home, and you began to notice that someone that we love and care about is becoming more anxious than normal, and they're irritable, they're hard to get along with, the temper is short, you have to be able to separate both. Is this as a result of just being in at home and not being able to get out, or is something more going on? There, it's a couple, two different things going on here, and we have to tease that out. And for a lot of people, that's not easy. But if you have, especially if that person has never been diagnosed as having any type of mental illness, so or emotional problem at all, but the pandemic can heighten a person's anxiety. So if we're dealing with someone who suddenly become very anxious as a result of staying at home, not being able to do some of the normal routines that they're used to coming and going as they normally would, are they talking a whole lot more about the virus? Are they watching more news than they should about the virus? This is when you calm that person down and you might start talking to them about what are you afraid of? And this is what I would do as a professional, is to sit down and visit with somebody and ask them to talk to you about their fears. And when you're afraid of something, you have to start asking yourself, what's real? What's not real? what can I do about a thing, what I can't do about a thing. And can I practice safe distancing? Yes, I can. Can I wear a mask? Yes, I can. Can I wash my hands as often as I need to and use sanitizers the way I need to and the way I should? Yes, I can. Can I do my best to keep myself safe? Yes, I can. Well, then you've done what you needed to do. Now, when someone is not responding to that in a very good way, then you began to say, do we need to look at talking to a physician about this? Are you not sleeping? Are your thoughts really and truly very, very over the top in terms of this is not making sense? You're far too worried about this. Then you might want to talk to a physician and discuss whether or not a little bit of medication, whether or not some psychotherapy would be helpful to you. These are some of the things that you have to consider. But a good psychological evaluation is better than trying to wing it and figure your way through something. And I hope I'm answering your question in terms of what can you do.
Yes, you have, and you're doing a wonderful job. Let me just take a break here for 30 seconds, just to let everyone know that we're today, my guest on Knowledge is Power. Is for the citizen of Beaumont and Jefferson County here. And we just want to inform you with very, very, very informative information that's going to be good for you if you have questions on anything. Now, I want you to continue to share out my podcast. I'm sorry. Continue to share it with your friends, neighbors, and loved ones. So we never know who's going through this type of illness. And most of the time we go through this illness, we go it alone and quietly. We don't talk about it, but if you see the signs of the things that Mrs. Clark is expressing to us, seek help, seek a doctor, seek a psychotherapist help, and we just want you to know that the information I'm passing on this podcast is just for you. And we want you to know what we're going through. Now, again, share this video with your friends, neighbors, and loved ones, and catch light. And also, I have a new Knowledge is Power Facebook page, and it's called Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. So tap in and see what's going on that particular page. And we are on now with Facebook Live, we're with YouTube, and next week we'll be on live with LinkedIn. So we're going to have it all covered. We won't miss no one with this important information that I'm sharing. Next Tuesday, remember Sundays and Tuesdays, I'm here at 7:30 on Sundays and 8 o'clock on Tuesdays. And I have another special guest on Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock. Now, back to Ms. Clark. Ms. Clark, I know the pandemic is seeing us we're seeing a lot of death in the families, and we cannot celebrate with them the way we once did, congregate like we once celebrated out the life of a homecoming of a person going away. And it's causing more grief for many. So should they seek counseling? Because death is already hard on families. So my question is, should they seek counseling during going through the grief of losing a loved one? Because we cannot bury them the way we wanted to bury them. We didn't put them away the way we traditionally put them away.
Yeah. The pandemic has caused us to have to do so many things in a very different way. And I understand your question in terms of we're losing people that we love very much. And in our culture and so many others, we do have what we call a homegoing celebration. The hard part for a lot of people who have lost loved ones during this pandemic is the fact that their loved one has become very ill very fast and they can't be with them. Part of the grief process for a lot of us is having spent time with our sick loved one before they become our dead loved one. We are unable to hold their hands, sit with them, and be with them, and truly be able to say our goodbyes. The pandemic causes isolation in a way that is traumatizing for us as a people. And to say that a person should seek counseling, it's not just a given. It's whether or not that person feels like they're not able to manage their emotions any further, which hinders them and debilitates them in a way that they're not able to function in their everyday lives. Most of the time, when we lose someone and we can only grieve with 10 people and only have a graveside service, those things are new to us. We're not accustomed to such a thing. So most likely the grief process can be a little bit delayed for some people. So if I had to offer anything, I would say watch yourselves, watch one another. Be on the lookout for feelings that may come weeks from now, a couple of months from now, when you may realize what really happened in terms of losing that person you loved very much. Grief has a way of being delayed, and we may not feel it initially. Some forms of delayed grief would be irritability. Some forms would be anxiety, crying all of a sudden, not getting along with people all of a sudden, possibly losing energy when normally you would be doing this or that and you don't feel like doing anything. So we would need to be on the lookout for maybe a delayed feeling of grief rather than this initial punch and impact. Most of the time, in a situation like this, of only 10 people, only a few people, we think that that's part of the mourning process, and it's not. The mourning and the grief comes much later. And indeed, the person who has suffered this loss may, in a few weeks or a few months, need to seek therapy to discuss how painful it was to not be with their loved one when they passed away, how painful it was to only have a very few people who could be around. And I would also suggest to them that when this is over and we can gather, plan something. You can plan a memorial. You can plan some type of repast celebration where all of the family can get together because we may need that. And that may help some of us to understand how deeply we were affected by the loss.
Great, Linda. I mean, Dr. Shoots, Miss Clark. Sorry, I've got a question here from comments, and this is coming from. Let's see here. Can I get it on the screen here? Let's see here. I can get it on the screen. Okay, here we go. Bernie Minnard asking, does you have any resources for the people who are not able to see professional help, I guess, who have lost their jobs? Does you have to do a pro bono?
Sure.
Oh, that's okay. She's answered your question, Bernie. Sure. Okay, good. Yes, we do.
Sure.
We do have the resources.
Clearly I'm in private practice, and I do understand that psychotherapy can be expensive. I also understand that everybody doesn't have insurance. Some people have lost their jobs. There are a number of agencies here in the community that offer sliding scale services for people. I think Family Services of Southeast Texas is out there. There are a number of places. MHMR is out there. But I think it's important for you to give a therapist a call and find out what they're able to do. I don't have a problem. I think you may have my phone number. Uh, Give us a call. It's okay to talk about what doesn't feel normal to you anymore. Uh, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling very sad, while all of those things should be expected of you, it does not mean that they should not be addressed.
Got it. Yes, indeed. And if you have audience, if you have questions, please comment in the comment box, and And I would just place it on the heart of Miss Clark, who is one of the best therapists, psychotherapists in our city, and we want to do business with our people. And you won't hear it again. So please do seek out help for those who are depressed. And thinking about depression, depression is is big right now. Now that during this trying time, we're seeing a lot of anger too. And now, are you getting in a lot of calls about that?
Yes. People are, it's a collective. If you pay attention to the world and you pay attention to our community, it's beginning to happen across the country, seems like all at the same time. Because, like I was saying earlier, I've noticed as a clinician that this has started at almost the same time to close in on us as a country in terms of realizing this is real. It is not going to go away the way we were initially told. My loved one is dying. My friend is sick. My friend's father passed away. I'm sick. This is real. And we're starting to realize it at the same time. And when businesses began to close, jobs began to go away, it became so real for us in such a traumatic way that we're now being told, okay, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be worried. While it may be okay, you do not want this to linger on you. You do want to find a way to battle your way through this. You talked about depression and anxiety. All of those feelings are things that require us to do a little bit of battle with. When you find yourself not feeling well, not wanting to get out of bed, you do have to push. You have to push. You have to go for that walk. You have to go to the physician. You might have to take a little bit of medication. I am in private practice. I do what I do. I cannot tell other clinicians what to do and how to do, but I know enough about the clinicians in this community and those that I have worked with down through the years that just about everyone has something to offer in the smallest or the largest way to help someone get through a really bad time. And right now, we're having a bad time.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And I wanted you on this program because I know what I feel and know what people are going through, how they feel about going through this, and it's so much, it's overwhelming to some. And I just want to make sure I give them information that is viable to them, that they can receive it and seek help. Because I love my people, and I want to do the best I can to give them information, potent information. I have another question here coming to you from one of our guests. Let's read it together here. For people who are unemployed there at Jefferson County Health Department, downtown people, Beaumont, who can also help you in the event that you need it? Well, I can't quite understand what she's saying there. Do
I think
you?
she's saying Jefferson County Health Department downtown in Beaumont can also offer some help. I think you're going to find that mental health is going to become very available to people. We do know that these are some difficult times. It is a lot to ask of a person to be a good caretaker of your physical health in a situation where you don't even know, well, where does the virus come from? How can I catch it? We have so little information about this virus, and yet there it is out there, and it's happening. People are sick, people are dying, people are also recovering. People have lost their jobs, and people are being asked to stay home, teach your children, figure out what your finances are going to look like all through this entire time of not being able to work. So that's a lot to ask of people. So I believe that our community is one that will rally. And this caller is letting us know that is help from the Jefferson County Health Department. Like I told you, Family Services of Southeast Texas. I do know that Catholic Charities is out there. um, MHMR is out there, and there are a number of private practice clinicians who are most likely going to be able to set aside a little bit of time to offer some support and help to people as they need it. But we've been allowed to work from home. We've been allowed to work on our computers, on our FaceTime, on telephones, because the nation is traumatized. And the mental health society that's out there knows this. Insurance companies know this. So they are allowing mental health professionals to practice from every platform available to us. So give your professionals a call. If you can't do anything else, maybe you can get in a phone visit, or you can just talk to someone and let them know how you're feeling and that you're having a hard time, and get tips on some of the things that you can do. We suggest, and I do this all the time, I do it myself, take a walk, go and sit out and get some fresh air, give yourself a break and breathe. It's okay to be quiet for a while. And I know some people are saying, are you serious? I'm at home. It's always quiet. No, it's not. I'm asking you to be quiet on a purposeful moment, not quiet because there's no one to talk to, but quiet because you have decided that I'm going to stop. I'm going to breathe. I am going to figure out how to get through this next moment. And you're doing it purposefully.
Wonderful. Well said, Dr. Clark. If you've been highly recommended, people have heard of you. And I was just thinking, I'm not just for the kids right now, but I said, wow, Linda been knowing me all my life. I didn't know Linda could have put some sense in my head. I'm just kidding. I am so glad to have you on the show tonight, and a lot of people are stressing right now. They're stressed because for the next rain front to come in, and don't know if their home's going to be, and then also the flooding and the viruses. It's just too much. Let me ask you a question about. Let's talk about the children now.
Okay.
Let's talk about the children now. Like parents who do have young kids, but not adults yet, but they're not babies in the homes who's lost without school and social activities. What help us out here.
Okay. I need to start by saying I am not a clinician for children. I recommend children to people that actually specialize in children. I am a mother. Fortunately, my children are adults, and I do have grandchildren. So I understand what you're talking about. And I have clients who, as soon as we start our session, they say, "Oh, the children. Oh, they're running me crazy." And I understand that. But we grew up at a time when there was the old adage of children are to be seen and not heard. And we know that that's not true. Children
Mhm.
are indeed affected by this virus. They're unable to go to school. My granddaughter is 5 years old. She just left and said, Grammy, I miss school. Guess what? That's their social outlet too. It is not only an academic outlet for children, but it's also their social outlet, especially when they're as young as 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. Most children enjoy school, and that's been taken away from them too. So once parents take on the daunting task of becoming teachers, because I do know that a lot of parents have been indoctrinated in going into their school district portals and learning how to teach their children different things. So once you've done that, it's okay to set aside a little time for children to what they know to be called recess. Your children need recess. They need opportunities to enjoy something new and something different, rather than be viewed as someone who's getting on your nerves. They understand that too. So it's okay to stop and think about, how do I talk to my children about the virus? Even my granddaughter said she understood the word COVID-19. I can't go out because of COVID-19. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean that I might get sick? You can talk to them about that in the simplest terms. And then after that, come up with activities that they can do. Some people I know have been cooking with their children, teaching their children at least how to make little sandwiches and different things that they can do. It's okay that they do their schoolwork, but it's also a way to make schoolwork fun as well. I'll also give parents the tip to understand that don't be fooled that your children may not be able to pick up on the fact that you're frightened. So, and it's okay to talk to them about being afraid and sharing that maybe you are too a little bit, but that basically we're going to be okay.
Thank you so much. Hey, Ms. Clark, you are just pouring out some great information that you're sharing with us this evening. And I want to ask you one question. I'm gonna ask you, okay, it's okay. I can let the audience know who your brother is.
Nope.
Don't do that.
Well, as a clinician, it's extremely important for me to maintain an ethical
Yeah.
balance and ethical distance in the community. People come to me with their most private parts of their lives, and
Right. And
my life is not part of that. So,
okay.
no, that's important that everybody maintain privacy. I have privacy, and they need to maintain their own privacy. People just know that I'm their therapist, and that's it.
Okay. All right. But everyone knows me. I'm going to be all over the place. Listen, let's do this. Let me ask you one more question before we conclude. Domestic abuse or child
Mhm.
abuse is also high right now.
Mhm.
What advice would you give the families who are experiencing it right now?
Here's the thing, it's not the virus. I think that it's people want to blame, I'm in the house, it's the virus, it's the money, it's you. If you don't have really good control of your emotions, if you don't have really good control of yourself and how to manage yourself, then any excuse is better than no excuse for saying, I hit my wife, I hit my children. That's not the virus's fault. Life happens. I heard you say early on when you came on that people are experiencing floodwaters. People are experiencing unemployment. These things didn't happen because of COVID-19. People experience job losses every day of the year. We have stressful times in our lives. And as adults, we need to really stop and think about how do I address stressful times in my life. COVID-19 is not your first stressor. So you have to stop, take a beat, take a breath, and say, I need to learn how to manage my stress and my behavior so that I don't take it out on my wife or my children or anyone else for that matter in a way that's not healthy. It's not the virus, it's you.
Now, well, what if, now I'm asking questions, one of my questions here, like most of them. What if it was told to someone that they need help seriously? What, how do we approach them to let them know that they need help? What, because a lot of folks say, hell, I ain't crazy. What's wrong with you? Something wrong with you. Because people with mental illness and depression always think this they're not the problem, it's someone else's problem. So how can we address that?
Mm, that's an interesting question, especially the way you put it.
Okay.
Um, Things happen in people's lives. Emotional upheavals can take place, and a person may think that they are doing really well, only to discover they're not. Let's take the grief and loss that we may be feeling as a result of this pandemic. Let's just say someone did lose a loved one. And I told you early on that sometimes grief is delayed. And suddenly this person is beginning to act out, is what we call it in our business. They're acting out. They're being difficult to get along with. They are yelling and irritable all the time. They're forgetting all the time. They have nightmares. You know that they're not normally acting like themselves. So in comes another loved one who says, Tony, you're not yourself. I don't think you hear yourself when you start talking about um, the same thing over and over again. I don't think you realize how much money you're spending here over and over again on sneakers and clothes and things of that nature. Some people who are suffering from some type of emotional upheaval usually are not aware that it's happening. And it takes a gentle touch from someone who loves and care about them to let them see that this is happening to them. And I use the term with grief because there are a lot of people. This is May. It's Mental Health Month. Someone probably buried a loved one this month. But let's say they start acting in a way that's unusual in July or August. Usually when I work with a person in July or August, the problem actually stemmed back to May, or the problem began in April or January, or the problem began in childhood. And usually that's what happens. And people don't realize that they are not managing very well. A gentle touch, a gentle nudge, something that's very serious, just the same, to let that person know that it would really be helpful to you if you went to see someone, if you went to talk to someone. That would be helpful. In our culture, in our community, as African Americans, we tend to be a little slow about it. We don't want to be viewed as crazy. And it's important that people understand that you're not crazy because you're grieving. You're not crazy because you have a brain disorder and a chemical imbalance. That does not mean that you're crazy. This means that you have something going on that needs to be addressed. This means that you're grieving a loss and you haven't done it well. And my belief is when you don't grieve well, you don't do anything well. You just think you are. It happens to me, it happens to everyone. Great losses can really, really affect us later in life.
Amen.
So, yes, so when you say, how do we help someone who may not think they need help? You stick with them. You gently continue to gently nudge them and say, you know what? People talk to everybody all the time. Why don't you go and talk to someone? With couples, when couples are having trouble and they'll give me a call, one wants to come to therapy, one doesn't, I always tell a person, come for yourself. Because if you get better, you might get
Yeah,
better as a couple. So
yeah.
it's okay to get better for yourself. But I want you to understand something, Tony. There are a lot of people out there that know that something's not quite right. But I think if our community would make it okay, they would address it better. Most people struggle with walking into a therapist's office or calling for that appointment because we come from a culture where Black folks don't go to no therapy.
Amen.
Black folks go to church. Black
Amen.
folks just talk to God. And if we can get, and that's when I say that little nudge, if you can make it okay for me to go to church and go to therapy, I'll be okay. We need to help make our people feel safe enough to go to therapy. Now, I will share this as an African American therapist. African Americans look for us. I stay in the business as long as I have because the African American population is looking for me. We believe that no one will understand us better than another African American. Nobody's going to understand the way I phrase a thing the way another African American is going to understand it. And no one is going to understand how afraid I am to come to therapy except another African American who knows we don't believe in it.
Mrs. Clark, I love it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight with on knowledge is power. And it's powerful to have knowledge, you to share this knowledge with us. It is awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope to have you on again. And any lasting words before we close out?
I would say to my community, remember this, it came to pass. This virus is not here to stay. This loss of income is not going to be forever. We will find our way through this. And as a people, we are going to remain strong and we will prevail. Hang on to yourselves. And if you've got to pick up that phone and call a therapist, don't be afraid to do so. It's okay. That therapist will walk you through whatever these frightening feelings are. We're going to be okay. Thank you.
Ms. Clark, before we go, would you share your contact number, if that's okay, to the audience? So if there's someone who's watching and know a loved one that's suffering right now from a loss or grieving or just anxiety or stress because what we're going through this pandemic, or even this flood, where they're stressing because we don't know where we're going their home, they're gonna lose their homes again. Would you just, if that's okay with you?
Sure.
And
My office number, like I said, I'm working. I'm not working at the office right now, but my office number, and I do answer my phone if I'm not doing a session, if I'm not in session. My phone number is 409-899-9990.
did you get that? That number is 409-899-9990.
Yes.
Thank you again, Ms. Clark. It was good to have you on. And I just love this segment that you have just shared with us. So people join me Tuesday, that's the day after tomorrow, Tuesday evening. I'm going to have LaShawn Proctor from Proctor Mortuary and Gregory Cantu from Mercy Funeral Home here in Beaumont to share with us information how and when we lose a loved one, and we can lose one in the next 2 minutes. And giving us information how to handle our business detail on how to bury our loved one. Are we prepared to bury them? So join me Tuesday at 8 o'clock here on Knowledge is Power. Thank you, Ms. Clark. God bless. Love you all. Peace.
Thank you.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
if you need my assistance, text or inbox me or email me. I would love to hear from you, everyone that's joining me and sharing this video. So share, 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 share. I want everyone to see this video. I want everyone to see this, see this podcast. So thank you, everybody. Love you. Bye-bye.
Over and out.